Okay, good morning. So it's Sunday morning here in Rwanda. Um, and today I'm going to show you guys how I cook on an Imbabura, which is a charcoal stove. Now, almost everyone in my community cooks solely on a charcoal stove. I'm really lucky to have a gas stove, but I cook large things and I bake on a charcoal stove. And that is mostly to save gas for my gas stove because it's not easy to refill a gas tank all the way out in the middle of nowhere where I live. So today I'm going to show you guys how I cook beans and bake bread on a gas stove, on a charcoal stove. I do this once a week. I actually do this almost every Sunday and sometimes Saturdays, just so I have things for the rest of the week. And truly, I really love it. I love baking and cooking, so it's been really awesome. So I start with my bread, and all of this starts the day before. So I actually have to plan it out. But the day before is when I mix my bread dough in a bag. I actually make bread in a bag. It's kind of weird, but it's the easiest, simplest way that I've found. And then I clean the bag, and I can reuse the bag 100 times. And it's such a simple bread recipe. I literally use flour, yeast, salt, and water. That's it. And I let it rise. This has been rising all for a full day now. And then I'm going to let it do one more rise while I cook the beans. So I'll take it out of the bag and I'll put it in a pot. And it's going to be really good bread. I finally perfected how to do it. The key is to get the Imbabura as hot as you can. So then I'm also going to be cooking beans, and I don't know if you can see them. These beans are absolutely beautiful. They are all kind of purple right now, and they'll cook to be like an ugly brown color. But that's how you also know that you're buying fresh beans at the market, is that they're all different colors, and they all start off like so beautifully. And I'll even put in some pictures for you guys to see because I'm obsessed with their color. So right now is actually like harvest season because we're getting into dry season. So everyone's harvesting their beans and they're basically everywhere in my village right now since everyone in my village is farmers. So I'm going to show you how to first light the Imbabura, cook my beans, and then I'm going to show you how to make what's called a Peace Corps oven using 2 pots. And this is how most volunteers cook without having access to an oven. It's actually really effective. You have to make some adjustments just based on size, but it's really awesome. And I'm so glad that Peace Corps showed me how to do this because now I make bread every week. And sometimes if I'm feeling like it, I'll like throw in brownies or last week I made like banana chocolate bread, which was delicious, but I have to be careful because I could eat brownies and banana bread all day. But yeah, so I make bread, and I chose to do this. I can buy bread in my village. I can also buy bread in my market town, but I don't really like to. It's literally bread that is basically hot dog buns, and it's just not as enjoyable. And as well as like this gives me something to do on a Sunday. My village is extremely quiet on Sundays because everyone goes to church. And church here lasts for hours and hours. They will be at church for 4 or 5 hours on a Sunday. So I give myself Sunday to kind of do whatever I want to do. That's the day that I do chores. It's kind of the day that I hold up in my house almost all day, which especially is wonderful because I'm like a major introvert. So giving myself one day that I like just do whatever I want. Yeah, and now all the kids in the neighborhood know that I cook bread once a week. So they love to come and try and help me, which is an interesting process. But I'm going to show you guys how to light the Imbabura. Now, I have to fully thank my neighbors for teaching me this method of lighting the Imbabura, and you're probably going to think it's nuts, and you're probably going to be like, why is she doing that? And that's what I thought at first too. My host family and my and Peace Corps both taught me how to light Imbaburas, and they both taught me in a different way. I could never really get it quite right. And one day when I was really struggling in my backyard, my neighbor's kids came over and was like, let me help you, let me help you. So they helped me and used this like random method that I was like, oh, okay, you're little kids. Why am I letting you help me? But it is the most effective way. And now they really love to help me. So they might even come over and help me. Who knows? We'll see. Um, but yeah, so let's get to lighting the Imbabura. Okay guys, so we're out in my backyard and I'm going to try and talk quietly to not draw so much attention to the fact that I'm out back talking to a computer. But I'm sitting here with my Imbabura. This is my Imbabura. It's very simple. It's only 1,000 francs to buy. And this is ceramic while the rest of it is metal. And it has vent holes that are actually stopped up right now. Okay. And I have a pile of charcoal to help light it, and then I have the giant box of scrap paper that I have. And truthfully, a lot of this is drawings from kids, but I can't keep a million drawings. And then I have my lighter. I actually bought this lighter in Kigali, just to make things easier. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start by piling charcoal. And I like to put a bunch of tiny pieces in the very bottom where the original flame is going to be, and put larger pieces along the outside. I'll also pile charcoal on top after I get a flame going. Now I've learned this method from Peace Corps. It was actually the omakosi, where I break a large tapered candle and use it as kind of a pilot light. So I'm going to put that in the middle, and I'm going to light it. And now that that's going, I'm actually going to take some paper and get a bigger flame. Oh. Okay, so we're going to cut to the fact that it just started raining, which sucks because I was going to do my laundry today. So we're in like my douche right now instead, which I like basically just store stuff in. This is my giant bag of charcoal. Yeah, I cook on this charcoal once a week on this charcoal stove, and I cook once a week, and I've barely made a dent in this. It'll probably last me my 2 years. But we're gonna cut to try still lighting the Imbabura in my douche instead, so that we're protected from the rain. And hopefully the rain doesn't get too bad. So now that the charcoals are nice and hot, the larger pieces just got lit, so I know that the charcoal is going to burn for a while. We're going to start by cooking my beans. I always cook my beans first, and I don't really know why, truthfully, but I have 2 pots that I use on the Imbabura because it turns the bottom black. But here's my beans. I'm not cooking a lot of beans today because I don't want to eat beans every day, and they don't last very long. So I have my big, giant wooden spoon, and I have the beans in here. I rinse them after being soaked all night, and now I'm cooking them with cumin because I read online that if you cook it with cumin, it's easier for your body to digest. I don't know if that's true, but we're going to put it right on my Imbabura and put the lid on, and now we're ready to cook. The beans will probably take a long time because the water has to boil, and then they boil for about 2 hours. And it takes a long time for things to boil on the Imbabura. So this will probably be about 3 or 4 hours. Okay, hi guys! So as I'm sure you can hear, a huge rainstorm just started. So I brought in all of my laundry, and I brought my Imbabura right inside my back door. So hopefully I can keep it going while the rain is going. So, like, this wind outside is crazy. You can hear all the rain on my tin roof. It's a big storm. And what's always crazy about storms in Rwanda is that you hear it well before you see it or have any rain. And especially around me, because I live in so many hills, I live at the very top of a giant hill. And so for me, when a rainstorm starts coming, you know, because all of a sudden you can't see any hills around you. And it's only our hill, because a ton of fog comes, and then you hear it. And you can hear all of the rain coming, and it quickly comes towards you. And it's just like this sheet of rain that's moving towards you. It's the weirdest thing. And then the sky falls. So right now I emptied out my laundry buckets. Luckily I just finished doing laundry. So I brought in all of my laundry. I know it will not dry today. I'm hoping tomorrow's really hot and sunny. And I'll put it out in the morning tomorrow. But at the same time, it's only 11 a.m. here. So who knows? It's Rwanda. It could easily pour and be sunny by this afternoon. I know my clothes still won't be dry, but at least they'll start getting that way. Yeah, so I'll try and show you the Imbabura as we start cooking the bread. The beans are almost done. It's been about 2 hours with the beans. And then hopefully we'll get the bread on. I brought in some charcoal from outside, so hopefully I can keep the Imbabura going. But I also have to be really careful because it is charcoal that releases a lot of chemicals into the air. So I have to be really careful with having it in my house. Although it's actually fairly common to have like a built-in Imbabura in your house at some point. So yeah, we're gonna try and do this, but my back hallway is very dark and I'm not willing to bring my Imbabura like further into my house. So we're gonna try. Okay guys, so because this is Peace Corps, change of plans. As of right now, the storm outside is going crazy. There's wind everywhere. The rain has just started letting up, but I looked outside and there is no clear sky anywhere. So I think I'm socked in for quite a while. And right now my Imbabura is still going in the back, but the charcoal that I brought in to continue replenishing my Imbabura got all wet because when it rains in Rwanda, water comes in from everywhere. Water comes in all of my windows, water comes in all of my doors. So we're going to change plans because I even went out to my douche to try and get some more charcoal, and all of that got wet because this storm is crazy. And while I was out there, a tree fell on my latrine. Yay! Yay! We'll see the damage of that later.
And I could also see that the wind is actually blowing my landlord's latrine roof off of the roof. So, because this is Peace Corps and we all adapt, I'm going to let the beans finish cooking on my Imbabura, and that should probably be the rest of the charcoal on my Imbabura. And then I'm actually going to start cooking the bread on my gas stove behind me using the Peace Corps oven. It's the same concept, just not on a charcoal stove. Sadly, I'm going to kind of waste a little bit of my gas to do this, but hopefully I can get it hot enough. It'll be a lot easier to get the Peace Corps oven hot enough to really be able to cook this, to really be able to cook all the bread. And right now, my bread is doing its second rise, and it looks beautiful. I'm so excited. And this bread, this recipe actually should get nice and crusty on the outside, so I get a nice crust on my bread as well. So, we always adapt. To think that I probably would have had a panic attack over this like 2 years ago is kind of crazy. But like any Peace Corps volunteer, I adapt and I'm flexible. So I have my clothes in a pile, and you can probably hear the rain and the thunder right now. This thunder is crazy. Yeah, I'm hoping I don't lose power. Luckily, I do have my solar lantern charged this time if I do lose power. But hopefully not, so you can actually see. If not, we'll adapt. We'll use some flashlights. We're all good. Okay, we're adapting, we're changing all the time. So I did lose power. Luckily I have this, and thank God for my mom. She's an amazing person. She's sending me solar lights. Woo! I'm very excited for these. But you guys get a real glimpse at what my life is like on a daily basis. Things always happen, nothing goes according to plan, and you really gotta makeshift a lot of stuff. So, sorry, deal with it. Okay, so we're gonna start by making the Peace Corps oven. I always pick my biggest pot that I have. I really don't use it for anything else but baking. And because I don't cook for that many people. But I fill it with salt. This is actually an old butter container. But I fill it with salt, and I reuse the same salt every time I bake. It's extremely important to have something at the bottom. Some people put water at the bottom. Some people put dirt from outside. I just use salt. It's super easy. It's super simple. And then I can just store it super easily in an old container. It's really important because if you don't, there's nothing in the pot and you can burn a hole in your pot, which I know several people that have already done that. And then I have something to put my bread on. It basically makes a rack. These are literally old tuna cans from me eating tuna. So I put them in the bottom, and they keep everything nice and level so you can see them. Keep everything nice and level. Here. And you want the salt evenly distributed everywhere. And then I take the pot that I was just actually cooking the beans in. It's my second largest pot. It's just easiest to use the largest ones. And I put it right on top. Now, this creates the oven. It creates heat on the inside, and it makes like a convection oven. So actually right now, I'm going to warm it up with my gas stove. I found that warming it up is probably the easiest way to do it, to getting it nice and hot, just like you would warm up your oven at home. So I'm going to warm it up. Oh, I'm turning it the wrong way. And I'm going to leave it up really high. This gas stove heats things so quick. The flame is so hot. So I know that it's going to be really quick. On the Imbabura, this would probably take at least an hour to warm up to be hot enough to really cook the bread. And then when it's hot enough, I'll put my bread in the middle and it'll cook. It's really that simple. It's that easy. I'm actually going to start with a lid on my bread. And this helps it just to rise and actually get a nice crust because it's working based on the steam that builds inside the pot. So it's basically like a Dutch oven. You're basically creating a Dutch oven. And I'm really excited. Okay, so I'll come back to you guys when it's all warmed up. Now, this thing is already so hot, and it's only been maybe 2 or 3 minutes. So right now I put my bread with the lid on it in the very middle of the Peace Corps oven. I made sure it doesn't touch any of the sides, and I'm going to put the big pot back on the top, and I'm going to check it in maybe 20 to 30 minutes. And that's when I'll take the lid off of the pot with the bread, and then I'll have it finish cooking and get nice and brown and crispy. Okay, so it's been about 30 minutes, and I checked the bread. The bread is looking so good. It's getting a little brown and crusty. Oh no! See, more adapting. So I'm taking the lid off of it now, and I'm going to just cook it for the rest of the time. It's doing pretty good, so I'm thinking maybe another 20 to 30 minutes. Okay, so the rain's not letting up, but the bread is finally done. If you take it all out, it is a nice, super crispy loaf of bread. I can't wait to eat it.